Hey, Truth Seekers, welcome back. Zach here. Today's April 8th, 2016. It's day 2 of the Masters Golf Tournament, the first of 4 major tournaments in the annual PGA Tour. I wanted to put out this video yesterday morning. I didn't get a chance to make a video, but now that the first day is over, the good news is I can add more concrete information to this video that goes on top of what I was already going to present. So the way I want to begin is by going to the beginning of the Masters tournament, the first ever one held, which was in the year 1934. The first time the Masters was played, it took place between the dates March 22nd and March 25th. That date, 322, a very infamous date in numbers. I want to show you how it connects with the original name of the tournament. When it was first created, the Masters was known as the Augusta National Invitational. See if I can get this up here on the screen. Early tournament years. The first Augusta National Invitational Tournament, as the Masters was originally known, began on March 22nd, 1934, and was won by Jordan Spieth. So check this out. It was played on 322, as we'd write it here in the United States. 3/22, Augusta National Invitational in Gematria equals 322. It is the Freemasons who practice this language of Gematria, coding numbers into words, and syncing those numbers up with dates on the calendar. This is pretty much how the system of Gematria works, going back to Pythagoras and the Greeks, and probably long before that. This knowledge of Gematria and its relationship with the language in the calendar is esoteric knowledge, knowledge kept secret to the Freemasons. The Freemasons, the secret society that is responsible for creating so many things that we celebrate in this world, from golf to many of the other major sports to so much more, including our English language and our Gregorian calendar system. I have tons of work on all of these topics. This is just a presentation on the Masters. So the Gematria of Augusta National Invitational is 322 the big way, 106 the small way. The big way and small way will always have identical numerology. 3 plus 2 plus 2 is 7. 1 plus 0 plus 6 is 7. That's the check in math. But anyhow, the number 106 is the number of prophecy. And before I even realized this coding within the Augusta National Invitational, I noticed how this number was coded into Jordan Spieth, which we'll talk more about in a moment. Last year's winner, and very possibly this year's winner, we'll know by Sunday. Let me zoom in here on the print so it's bigger. The opening date of the first Masters, or the Augusta National Invitational, was on a date with a life lesson number of 42. The word Freemason equals 42. This is a very special number to the Freemasons. It's fitting also that this date had the 42 numerology. We're going to talk about Freemason ownership over the history of the tournament. The date March 22nd can also be written 22/3, the number that connects to Masonic and Jewish Gematria. It also connects to the name Jordan Spieth, which we'll get to. His birth name is Jordan Alexander Spieth, name Gematria of 223. And if you're new to my channel, I am showing how many great athletes in all sports throughout the world have this special coding in their names. I am saying that it seems that these are Manchurian athletes, born and bred to, excel at what they do, from golf to baseball to basketball to football. You decode these star players' names, you see how they have the special numbers that sync up with their sports, sync up with the Masons again and again. Yesterday when I was doing this research, I had to laugh. I saw a headline from ESPN that the New York Giants football team are projected to draft somebody named Eli Apple. The quarterback of the team is Eli Manning. They play in the Big Apple. They're theorizing that their first pick's going to be Eli Apple. Just the other year, the Packers took Ha Clinton. I'm telling you, the powers that be are farming athletes, and they are creating names by the numbers of significance. The year of the first tournament, it closed on March 25th in the year 34. That's a date with 62 numerology. That's important because Mason equals 62, Augusta, Georgia, the small way equals 62, where the golf course is, and Georgia, the big way, also equals 62. The name Jordan alone equals 62. Right now, Jordan, a serious chance to repeat as Masters champion. The first man to ever win the tournament was Jordan Spieth, born May 22nd, 1908. May 22nd is the 142nd day of the year. When you write out 42 as a word, it sums to 142 in Gematria. This is a special Masonic pairing in numbers. It's interesting that Jordan Spieth, born on the 142nd day. Jordan Spieth in Gematria sums to 69, like the number at the top of the Masonic arch. Smith, also a name with 33 Gematria, number of Masonic obsession. The big way, Smith, 69. Jordan Spieth, winner of the first Masters, or Augusta National Invitational. Notice he's also born on the 22nd day of the year, Jordan Spieth, May 22nd. The word golf equals 22. Right now, Jordan Spieth, at age 22, possibly to become the fourth player in tournament history to win back-to-back years. Only Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, and Nick Faldo have done it. If Spieth does it this year, he'll be the fourth. Remember, the Masters is one of 4 major tournaments in the PGA Tour calendar year. Jordan Spieth would die October 15th, 1963. October, the only month with 33 Gematria. I just noticed the date he died on was a date with a life lesson number of 44, the kill number, also connected to Georgia. And a lot of times these Masonic men, they die later in life by the numbers. He would die at age 55. The word sacrifice has Gematria of 55. Back when he won, from March 25th, the day Jordan Spieth won the championship, to his birthday, May 22nd, was a span of 58 days. Freemasonry equals 58. We're going to talk about how these birthday measurements typically factor into the winners of the tournament. And at the end, we'll talk about how a golf tournament could be rigged. So many people, blurt out questions like that to my video. How could you ever rig a golf tournament? And by the end of this video, I'm going to answer that. It's a simple answer. Again, the tournament's in Augusta, Georgia. Augusta, Georgia, the small way, 62. Also 71, not 17. That's a typo. Georgia, the big way, 62. 44, the small way. And Mason, 62, the big way. Just like the name Jordan, which we'll get to. So this year's tournament, numbers to look for that stand out. It's the 80th tournament. 80th has Gematria of 55 and 91. 80 alone has Gematria of 38 and 74. 74 really stands out because Masonic equals 74. This year's tournament began on April 7th, which is written 7/4 in most parts of the world. Fitting start date for the 80th tournament. The players with the major numerical connections to this year's tournament are Jordan Spieth and also Dustin Johnson. If anyone is to come back this year and beat Spieth, it very well might be Dustin Johnson. We'll talk about that in just a moment. So let's look at last year, what was significant about Jordan Spieth winning. Last year was the 79th Masters. 79 is the 22nd prime number. Remember, golf equals 22. Golf equals 22. Zoom this in here. Jordan Spieth last year was 21 years old, and from the date that he won the tournament until his birthday, July 27th, is a span of 106 days, the number of prophecy, the number that connects to Augusta National Invitational, as well as his name. 106. He wins his first green jacket at age 21, 106 days before his 22nd birthday. This year he's 22. Again, Jordan Alexander Spieth, name Gematria of 106. Very special number, connecting to the tournament, connecting to prophecy, something that shows up in a major way in pro sports. and collegiate sports. Remember, this year's college tournament, I was talking about this number, and in the beginning, I thought North Carolina was going to win the tournament because they were in their 106th year of existence. Instead, they went down to Villanova, who was coached by Jay Wright, who had name gematria of 106, plus Villanova outside of Philadelphia, where they've been having these train wrecks. Last year, May 12th, the train traveling 106 miles per hour. As I explained last year, that was connected to the NBA Finals. At the beginning of this year's tournament, I talked about how that train wreck was also foreshadowing what was to come in this year's college tournament, but I overlooked the Villanova-Philadelphia connection. Major omission. The point is, though, these numbers are real. They're riddled into fake news story, and they are riddled into contrived sports outcomes. Jordan Spieth alone, the small way, equals 58 and 67, just like Freemasonry. We talked about how Jordan Spieth won the first ever Masters 58 days before his birthday. Jordan Alexander Spieth in simple English gematria sums to 223 like Masonic. Remember, Augusta National Invitational, the first one played the 22nd day of the third month, 22/3. Augusta National Invitational equals 322, the reflection. Jordan Spieth, the big way, equals 139, just like Freemasonry. It's not hard to see who's breeding these athletes, you know? People at home are watching the TV thinking that Jordan Spieth, he's just this really great golfer, had the right parenting, the right upbringing. They don't understand this guy was raised to play and to win. From the date he was born, he was probably picked to win these very tournaments by the numbers. This isn't what people are understanding about my message. My message is bigger than sports. I'm showing how we're living out a scripted, planned, world, an agenda, news stories, sports, written and contrived years in advance. He became the second youngest player to ever become a Masters champion. Here's the list of players to do it. Ray Floyd did it in 76. Tiger Woods did it in 97. Spieth last year, 2015. Here's what stands out about those years. 76 is interesting because the word master equals 76. Woods, one of 3 players to win back-to-back. Woods is a name with 76 gematria. His caddy, Jordan Spieth, is named Michael Greller. Michael Greller, name gematria of 74, like Masonic. Greller also equals 41, so does Masters. Of course, Michael's a 33 name, number of Masonic obsession. His name in simple English gematria sums to 128. This is one of these numbers I see. It has 11 numerology. All the numbers with 11 numerology are special, but I often think that there's something more to some of these numbers I don't know about, such as 128. I noticed yesterday on ESPN they kept putting up videos of him connected to 128. Here's Jordan Spieth, a minute 28. Another one, a minute 28. This one with Steph Curry. We're going to talk about Steph Curry and the Warriors at the end of this, how it connects. Notice this is 2 minutes and 8 seconds. That's the same as 128 seconds. Interesting that ESPN kept putting up these stories with that number in light of his caddy. You know, they say in golf, your caddy, the guy who carries your clubs, is pretty important. Hear about pro golfers firing their caddies all the time. This year, if Spieth were to win, his birthday comes 111 days after the start of the tournament and 108 days after the end of the tournament. That's also a span of 15 weeks and 6 days. What stands out to me about that 15 weeks and 6 days is that it's a lot like the number 156. If you write out 33 as a word in gematria, it sums to 156. Yesterday, Spieth shot 33 on the front 9 and 33 on the back 9. Opening day tribute, possibly by the numbers. And 156, one of those special numbers, 911, the 156th prime number. On September 11th in this country, the 2 towers that fell down in New York were 33 years old. History by the numbers. I have videos on all these things going into much greater depth. So yesterday, Spieth, He shot 66. 3 under on the front nine, 3 under on the back nine, 6 under for the day. He became the first golfer since the year 1966 to finish number 1 on the leaderboard after the opening day, coming into the championship, being the defending champion. Did I explain that clearly enough? In 1966, Jack Nicklaus had won the Masters the year before. After day 1, the year following, he was in first place. Just like Spieth, first person to do it since Nicklaus in 66. Spieth won the championship last year, or the Masters. This year, he finished first place day 1, something that hadn't happened since 66. And he shoots a 66, you know? 33 on the front nine and back nine. When you write out 33 as a word, the small way, it sums to 66. The big way, 156. Isn't it perfect? Last person to do it, Jack Nicklaus, Hall of Fame golfer, in the year 66. We'll talk about how this could all be done, scripted, and guaranteed at the end. Again, Jordan's 22 years old right now. Golf equals 22. Special numbers. Last year he won the 79th Masters, 79, the 22nd prime. So why is it that Dustin Johnson, if anyone is to upset Spieth, it's him? This is why I think it's most likely to be him if it happens. From the start of the tournament to Dustin's birthday is a span of 76 days. Again, master equals 76. Factors into the equation. I noticed yesterday watching the tournament, Apple kept running a commercial where they hold up 2 cell phones. Maybe you saw it. And on both cell phones, the time was 7:06. And I was just grinning. You know, when you're aware of this gematria language, you see what they're doing with the numbers. You know, they don't put the time 7:06 on the phone in the commercial during the Masters for an arbitrary reason. They do it because the number connects. The powers that be, they practice this language of gematria. They code it into their headlines, their advertisements, and more. So anyway, his birthday comes 76 days after the start of the Masters this year. That's also a span of 10 weeks and 6 days, which is a lot like the number 106, the number of prophecy, the number we talked about at the beginning, coded into the original name of the tournament, also coded into the name Jordan Spieth. The name Dustin Johnson in gematria, let me zoom this in, make sure you can see this. And for any of you who can't make out the words on the screen, I always link these posts in the description. You can read all these blog posts yourself and blow them up if you can't read it during the video presentation. But anyway, Dustin Johnson equals 74. It's the 80th tournament. 80 has gematria of 74, just like Masonic. So Dustin Johnson has some numbers himself that connect to the tournament. Dustin Johnson himself, born June 22nd, 1984, a date with 131 numerology. The word championship equals 131. The word championship equals 131. Also a life lesson number of 50. America equals 50. This year the tournament ends April 10th, 2016, a date with 50 numerology. He also has birth numerology of 32. America equals 32. Johnson equals 32. And what's interesting is his initials, DJ. D is the 4th letter. J is the 10th. The green jacket will be put on somebody on 4/10, April 10th. So, you know, he has some nice alignment for this year's tournament, but I'm not sure it's more than Jordan's. You know, I feel like with Jordan, they're trying to build a future superstar, someone to bring more entertainment or, you know, more fanfare to the sport of golf. He's young. He'll connect with the youth. I see more incentive for Jordan to win this year. But Dustin, keep his name in mind. Rory McIlroy, also another favorite to win the tournament. For a while, it seemed like they were trying to make him the new Tiger Woods. What's interesting about him is he has been the world's #1 ranked golfer for 95 weeks in his career. And Masters, the plural, equals 95. 76 plus 19 more for S, Masters 95. He's been the leader for 95 weeks. Plus the name McIlroy in simple English gematria equals 95. In fact, look at his name. Rory 76, McIlroy 95. He hasn't won a Masters yet. If he doesn't win it this year, I'm sure he will win it in the not too distant future. It seems to be coded into his name as well. Rory McIlroy. Likely another Manchurian athlete. McIlroy the small way equals 41 like Masters the small way. His birthday, May 4th, 89, a date with 98 numerology. This year, the Masters began on the 98th day of the year, April 7th. So just remember this, in case McIlroy ends up winning, he had some connections too. I just don't see his connections this year being as strong as the other men mentioned. PGA Tour in gematria. This shouldn't say PGA equals, it should say PGA Tour equals. PGA Tour equals 98. This year, the Masters began on the 98th day of the year, the first major tournament of the PGA Tour. McIlroy, his best finish at the Masters was last year, 4th place, so he's still yet to win one. Ricky Fowler, he's another favorite to win the tournament. Show you what's interesting about him. The name Ricky Fowler in gematria equals 80. This year's the 80th Masters. Interesting connection, but not as strong as the connections to the other men mentioned. I just bring these up in case they end up winning. So you can go, okay, maybe that is why you won it. For me, this is always ongoing research. So I like to document what happened, take notes, and make better projections next time around. From my research thus far, Jordan's the favorite. These guys, though, I'm all keeping my eye on, and that's why I'm sharing this information with you. For those of you who are just like me, trying to learn this better, apply it yourselves. Jordan Fowler has some interesting birthday numerology. He's got the 113, which connects to Scottish, as in Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Think about golf and Scotland. 33 as well, that number of Masonic obsession. Adam Scott, he's a prior winner of the tournament. I just want to show you what's interesting about Adam Scott and the year he won. His name in gematria, full name Adam Derek Scott, gematria 58 and 67, numbers that connect to Freemasonry. Adam Scott also equals 33, that number of Masonic obsession. Adam Derek Scott, the big way, equals 139, and Adam Scott, 96. The year he won the Masters was 2013. He got his green jacket April 11th, exactly 96 days before his birthday on July 16th. And Adam Scott equals 96. Adam Scott gets a green jacket 96 days before his birthday. You see? And look at how old he was going to turn. Adam Scott was going to turn 33. Adam Scott the small way equals 33. 33, 96, numbers that connect to Freemason. Freemason, the word in gematria, equals 96. The ranging degrees of Scottish Rite Freemasonry, 31, 32, 33. Add them together, it sums to 96. Oh, correction though. It was 96 days from the beginning of the tournament the year he won until his 33rd birthday. When he got the green jacket, it was 93 days till his birthday. But you can still see how this spacing is from the beginning of the tournament to the end of the tournament. Bubba Watson, he has won the tournament twice in recent years, 2012 and 2014. Adam Scott won the year between. Here's what stands out about Bubba Watson. It's his birth numerology. He's born November 5th, 1978, a date with a life lesson number of 41. Masters equals 41. He's won 2 Masters, quite an accomplishment. Also, he has the birth numerology of 113, which connects to Scottish and Scottish Rite Freemasonry. You find these numbers in a lot of star athletes. The year he won in 2012, it came 211 days before his birthday. 211 is the 47th prime. 47, one of the most important numbers to the Freemasons. 211, the 47th prime. When he won in 2013, it was 206 days before his birthday. That connects to Royal Archmasonry. It would be interesting to find out if that is what he is affiliated with. It's possible. A lot of Masonic men in the world of pro sports. Jason Day, also a favorite to win the tournament this year. Quick note on him. Show you his name real quick. Jason Day, in simple English gematria, sums to 89. This year, the Masters began on the 98th day of the year, and this year it was a field of 89 participants. Last year, it was a field of 97 participants in the 79th tournament, 97, 79. This year, 89, starting on the 98th day. Jason Day has gematria of 89. He's at the top of the leaderboard behind Spieth. What stands out to me about his birthday is that this year it comes 216 days after the end of the tournament. And as I've been explaining, 2016 is the year of 666, a number connected to 216. In numerology, 0 doesn't count, so 2016 becomes a lot like 216. When you multiply 6 times 6 times 6, it equals 216. 2016, 20 plus 16, another numerology method, sums to 36. When you add up the numbers 1 through 36, it totals 666. So 2016, the year is 666, connected to this number 216. Should Jason Day win, keep these things in mind. Also, the day before the tournament began, there was the par 3 contest. There were 9 hole-in-ones, including one shot by Gary Player, who's 80 years old. An 80-year-old knocks in a hole-in-one the day before the beginning of the 80th tournament. Gary Player won the Masters 3 times, in 61, 55 years ago, in 74, 42 years ago, and 78, 38 years ago. That was the 31st ace of his career, 31, the 11th prime. Gary Player in gematria, 56 and 128. Talked about how that number connected to Spieth's caddy. His birth numerology, November 1st, 1935. 66 numerology. Think about how Spieth had an opening round 66 yesterday. Also 47. Think about how the tournament began on 4/7, April 7th, a date with 47 numerology. Perhaps, in a way, this was a tribute to Jordan Spieth. We'll find out soon enough. He had that opening round 66, the first player to do it since the year 66. Let's see, did I link something here? I want to show you this real quick. I just did this recent work on the possible use of magnets in professional sports. I talked about it in regards to the miraculous catch in Super Bowl 42 by David Tyree. I talked about it in basketball with the ever-increasing rate of miracle shots to close games, especially in this year's men's college tournament. To me, the theory of magnets being used to manipulate the outcomes of sports, it makes a lot of sense. We have the technology, we have the engineering capability. Check out this clip from the movie Space Jam starring Michael Jordan, the basketball player, where he's golfing. Check this out.
Look at that spin. Come on. It is alive. My first hole-in-one. Yes. Don't say it. Larry, nothing but the bottom of the cup. God, that's his ball. Yeah, it's my ball. Sorry. Wait. Let me get a picture of this. All right, here we go. Now you're going to smile. You reach in for the ball, and then you smile, okay? Yes. And you think this is good. Just take the picture. All right, okay. What kind of camera is that? It's just. Would you not point that at me, please, and close the lens cap? Doing that just to... Where'd he go?
All right, so that's in the movies. Of course, if there's magnets being used in pro sports, it's not like that. It's not like there's Bugs Bunny underground holding up a magnet. But we live in this world with sophisticated technology, incredible technological capability. Is it possible that magnets could be put in the cup and magnets be used in certain balls for certain players to give them an unfair advantage, to make sure that 20-foot putt goes in, to make sure that putt, when it's necessary, goes in to keep the score where it needs to be? If you're putting a very skilled golfer up there who's going to put the ball within inches no matter what, and you give him the advantage of the magnet, I mean, is it that far out there? To me, it doesn't seem ridiculous at all. It seems that if you're going to script sports and you're going to make sure certain people win, that would be a very good way to do it. Outside of magnets, the other thing that can be done is this. If it's agreed to who's going to win the tournament, and say you have this tournament of 89 players, and out of those 89 players, 10 of them are good enough to shoot 10 under or better. From that group of 10, imagine it's discussed and it's determined. Okay, this person's going to win this year. That means the rest of you play well, but make sure you stay behind this person. Make sure when it comes down to it, you ultimately lose to this person. Last year, in another sport, to give another example, I guaranteed that American Pharoah was going to win the Triple Crown by the numbers. That ended up happening. And again, I said it was going to happen because there'd only been 11 Triple Crown winners before last year. The next one was to be the 12th, and it had been a gap of 37 years since the last time. 37 is the 12th prime. So anyway, to guarantee that a horse wins the Triple Crown, what do you have to do? All you have to do is make sure a horse that's elite is racing against other horses that aren't on the same level. And I think that's what was done last year through the major horse races. So it's all the same, It's it's a planned outcome, and then you deliver it. You deliver the script. I don't know why so many people would have trouble accepting that that's the reality. You don't know who these men are that are out here playing. As I'm showing, it seems they're born and bred to be. They're part of something larger. They have masters. I didn't mean to use the word masters in that regard, but they do. They have masters who tell them how to behave, how to perform, what outcomes to reach. And they take orders. And these people are paid very well for it. I mean, look at what the winners get of these tournaments. Millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. More than most men will make in their entire lifetime slaving away. These guys make it a few afternoons out on the golf course, shooting hoops, catching footballs, throwing baseballs. The problem is so many people, they've just followed these sports their whole lives. They think they're real. They can't admit to themselves that they've been duped. That's what it all comes back to. So anyway, talking about planned, scripted sports, one of the big headlines yesterday was that Ernie Els had the record worst hole. They showed this highlight several times on ESPN. You could have put a little kid out there and they would have made the putt before Ernie Els. What he did yesterday, I'm telling you, was scripted. He shot a 10 on the first hole, which is 6 over par. It's a par 4. He got a 10. And if you haven't seen the highlight, he's 2 feet away and just keeps missing the putt, knocking it past the hole, to the right of the hole, to the left of the hole. And then he has it like 2 inches away and he just goes to chip it in and misses again. I mean, it's like, come on. This guy's in the PGA Tour and he's doing this on the first hole, I'm sure. So anyway, I want to show you what was special that stood out to me about all of this. Ernie Els in Gematria equals 42 and 51. Freemason equals 42. Remember, the first tournament began on a date with 42 numerology. Also, Ernie is a name with 33 Gematria. Ernie Els. The day Ernie Els is born, October 17th, 1969. Remember, October's the only month with 33 Gematria, going with his name Ernie. But born on a date with 96 numerology. So as you can see, this guy, part of the Freemason Club. Freemason name, Freemason birth numerology. Par for the course. From the tournament date to his last birthday was a span of 173 days. 173 days. And what's interesting about 173 is that Dustin Johnson is born on the 173rd day of the year. He's one of the men with the 106 connections. Remember the number of prophecy, the number that connects back to the original tournament? Well, think about 106 in light of what Ernie Els did. He shot 6 over. He shot a 10. So 10 strokes plus 6 as it would go on the scorecard. 10 with a plus 6 next to it, a lot like 106. Remember, the guys with the 106 connections on this tournament are Jordan and Dustin. It's coded into Jordan's name. Last year he won the tournament 106 days before his birthday. Dustin this year, his birthday has the 106 connection. This is how it's done, Truth Seeker. This is what people are really witnessing. Rigged sports with numerological tributes. All of the leagues. I can't emphasize it enough. Ernie Els, he didn't miss all those putts right next to the hole for no good reason. He missed them because he was told to shoot a plus 10. He now has to go down in the record books as the worst performance ever on that hole in the history of the Masters. Ernie Els is also currently 46 years old. That's interesting because the number, or the word sacrifice equals 46. In a way, his performance used as a sacrifice and a larger tribute. Now, hopefully you're still with me because I've saved the best for last. There was this story on ESPN about how Golden State Warrior players Stephen Curry and Andre Iguodala got to play at Augusta earlier this year because supposedly Steve Kerr, the head coach of the team, has connections to the course and has special privilege to play there. And apparently the deal was that if Steph Curry and Andre Iguodala won the finals, Steve Kerr would get them a day on the greens there. So check this out. The day they played there was February 23rd, 2/23, 223. Remember how this number connects to the first tournament ever played there, connects to the name of the first tournament, connects to the Freemasons. And as I've been explaining, these numbers coded on all of pro sports. It's a big Masonic network. So 223, the Warriors golfed there. Masonic 223, the Synagogue of Satan 223. The Synagogue of Satan is the name given to the false Jews who will rule in the end times. Excuse me. In the NBA, it's very easy to see that the false Jews rule the leagues. Their faces are everywhere. They're at the top of the league. They own the teams. It's the same thing in the world of golf. You know, look at who owns these courses. Zionist Jews through and through. Remember, also, this course is in Georgia. Georgia has the Gematria 44. The Golden State Warriors, their 44th year in Golden State, been getting all these major 44 tributes this year, a huge number in last year's NBA Finals. It's going to be a big number in this year's NBA Finals that begin June 2nd, 6/2, 2016, a date with 42 numerology. Remember how 62 connects to Mason, Georgia, Jordan. So get this. From the date that Curry and the Warriors played at the golf course to the date that the Masters begins is a span of 44 days. All this 44 stuff all year on the Warriors season, they happen to play the course 44 days before the Masters begins. And April 7th, a date with 47 numerology this year, let's not forget the Warriors, originally from Philadelphia, that won the first championship in the year 47. And then we've gotten these pictures with Curry and Jordan Spieth hanging out, you know? Little foreshadowing maybe there. The date they played, Tuesday, February 23rd at the course. And with regards to 44, I also want to remind that Steve Kerr, supposedly the guy who hooked this up, returned this year to the Warriors for their 44th game. On that same day, David Blatt was fired from the Cleveland Cavaliers. David Blatt was fired exactly 83 weeks after being hired. Steve Kerr returned to coach his 83rd game of the regular season, 83, the 23rd prime. They were the two rookie coaches who met in the NBA Finals last year. All of this stuff is scripted by the numbers. Right now, ESPN's putting out headlines about how nobody knows all the pain Kerr went through earlier this year with his sickness and how he wasn't sure he was going to even be able to come back this year. All of this is bullshit. All of this are contrived narratives for the fans who don't realize how bad they're getting duped, who don't realize how these Masonic sellouts go before them with lies and deception every single day in these rigged sporting outcomes. And then you even have to read stories about their fake illness. I guarantee you nothing was wrong with Steve Kerr. I guarantee you he wasn't sick at all. It's just a contrived bullshit storyline by the numbers. He returned on the 44th game because everything's structured around the number 44 for the Warriors right now. 44 days they play on February 23rd before the start of the Masters. I mean, if anyone thinks all this stuff's a coincidence, I can't help you, and nobody can. It's undeniable, this work. It's a rigged joke by the Masons from the beginning, year after year, rigged winners. And we covered how the winners are rigged. Masonic men agreeing to outcomes, playing to make sure somebody wins. Of course, they couldn't just pick anybody to win. You know, you have to be good enough to shoot well enough. I mean, he had to earn the 6 under yesterday. If there's magnets in the cups helping out the ball, that's that much extra help. But there's no doubt these guys are great golfers. So you can only rig it with the best, but it's very feasible and very easily understood how it could be rigged if you just think a little bit. All right, Truth Seeker, until next time.